And good evening. As we come on the air, we're tracking severe weather across the country. Tornadoes tearing across the Midwest, the South dealing with flash floods, and millions reeling from scorching heat. New video just in, a possible tornado touching down in southern Minnesota. You can see it there perfectly. The towering funnel cloud ripping across a field. And near the Minnesota-Iowa border, sirens are blaring as those dangerous and massive dark clouds swirl above. It comes just hours after a tornado in Florida lifted this home off the ground. Look at that, turning it on its side before crashing back down. A woman telling us her mother was inside there at the time. And a driver nearby filming herself in the crosshairs of this twister, debris floating in the air, an electrical explosion overhead. In southwest Louisiana, a water spout spitting up over a boat, hardware on the deck just flying off it. And in New Mexico tonight, stunning images of flash flooding. Flood watch is now in place for the South, the Plains, and the Midwest. A punishing week of weather underscored by nearly 150 high heat records across the country. Our man Bill Cairns is standing by with where these dangerous systems are headed next, but we want to start with Shaq Brewster in Chicago as the Midwest braces for another night of Mother Nature's fury.
New video tonight of a funnel cloud racing across the farmland in southern Minnesota. Warning sirens activated as one storm chaser captured these frightening images of a tornado on the move. The severe weather threat in the Midwest coming less than 24 hours after doorbell video captured a tornado ripping through Largo, Florida. And then this, one of the homes lifted right off its foundation. A 76-year-old woman inside, according to her daughter. In the video, you can hear the home crashing back down.
John, I'm in a tornado. I'm in a tornado.
That same system captured in cell phone video, where you can see a cloud of debris swirling in the air. The woman recording it racing to get away.
There's a tornado going around. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Thankfully, according to local police, no serious injuries, but the scope of the physical damage from this storm obvious in overhead images. The early summer severe weather bringing this wild water spout to Leeville, Louisiana this morning and flash flooding to New Mexico today. All as 76 million people are facing heat advisories tonight, part of a record wave that set close to 150 new daily highs.
It's a sauna. Really hot.
The extreme heat life-threatening. The death of North Texas postal worker Jacob Taylor now under investigation. He collapsed Saturday while on his route in Dallas, where the heat index reached 99 degrees. And in South Carolina, 61-year-old Mitch Huggins was umpiring a youth softball tournament Saturday afternoon when he passed out. His sister said he died from heat stroke at the hospital.
They said he was telling them it's hot. That heat was not a good day for nobody.
That heat has been so dangerous for days. Shaq Brewster joins us tonight from Chicago. Shaq, let's start with the damage in Minnesota and those twisters that apparently seem to be touching down.
Yeah, and police tell us there was some damage on the ground from what they are calling a tornado. Damage in the forms of downed trees, down power lines, about 100 people in one town without power. Unfortunately, you have many people in different pockets of Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, facing the threat of more severe weather as we go into the evening, Tom.
And then, Shaq, I want to ask you about where you are, Chicago. According to our notes here, the heat index, more than 100 degrees. How are people dealing with the high temps?
Yeah.
We see those kids are trying to cool off there behind you.
Yeah, it got really hot today, Tom, and you saw areas like this behind me, these splash pads, beaches, waterfronts were completely full today. People trying to do what they can to stay out of the heat and to stay as cool as possible. Fortunately, there is some relief coming to much of the country, but as you saw in Minnesota, that also increases the threat of some of that severe weather, which is something that we'll be watching through the evening and into tomorrow, Tom.
Yeah, and we're going to keep talking about this now. We thank you, Shaq. I want to get right over to the forecast with NBC News meteorologist Bill Cairns. Bill, walk our viewers through what you're watching tonight, where it's really dangerous.
Yeah, we have a couple areas of concern. We have that tornado watch that's in areas of Wisconsin and Minnesota, severe thunderstorm watch down to Kansas City. And then in the east, we also have the severe thunderstorm watch that covers Washington, D.C., all the way up to Philadelphia. So the first stop is in that tornado watch. We have had two tornadoes reported today, one on Interstate 35 going south towards Iowa, another one just to the north of Fort Dodge, Iowa. Not a lot of damage reported with either of those, thankfully. And we're just watching some strong thunderstorms exiting La Crosse. As we head to the east, we do expect some wind damage, possible power outages along I-95. Severe thunderstorms just outside of Baltimore, heading towards the south side of Philadelphia. In between here on I-95, those storms will roll through in about the next hour. The other spot with severe thunderstorms at this hour, everyone's inside in Oklahoma City. A ton of lightning with these storms, some wind gusts and some large hail also possible with those, Tom.
It has been such a violent summer so far when it comes to the weather. I do want to ask you, we've been having that heat here in the Northeast. Any relief? It feels like we're getting a little bit here. What about the rest of the country?
Yeah, not everyone. It was like 95 today in Philadelphia. New York City was like 70. So that's where the barrier was in the separation. A lot of our heat advisories are being dropped in D.C. because tomorrow is going to be cooler. No such luck, though, from Mississippi northwards all the way up there through Illinois. To summer heat continues tomorrow. It's still humid. It's still hot. It's not record-breaking, but it's still going to be extremely warm. And this will continue, Tom. We're going to see things pretty warm all the way into July. No huge relief in sight, but also no record-breaking heat either.
All right, Bill Cairns for us. Bill, we thank you for that. In the Southeast, people reporting a mysterious fireball. Have you heard about this? It was seen streaking through the sky. Experts say it's no UFO, probably a meteorite, or maybe even just space junk. NBC's Jesse Kirsch has the striking video and more on the aerial phenomenon.
Out of nowhere, South Carolina's sunny blue skies got even brighter. A fireball shooting across the southeastern U.S., spotted around midday from the Carolinas to Florida.
Just a huge ball of fire just literally fell out of the sky.
Did y'all see it? A fireball that just fell like from the sky.
Garrett Thrift was driving with his daughter when he saw the bright flash.
It sounds like when you see this go across the sky, there's part of you that's worried what's going on.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, it's definitely not something you see every day.
In Georgia, officials say someone reported that a rock fell through their ceiling as people thought they were experiencing an earthquake. So what are we looking at? The National Weather Service says this appears to be a meteor or space junk, which even showed up on satellite-based lightning detection. The American Meteor Society says it's received around 150 reports.
So many people felt it, their windows rattled, their doors rattled, they heard a rumble, and that's what generates this interest.
I was trying to see the cross, boom, bright flash.
And whatever it was, the surprise offering a potential bright spot on an already sunny day.
Jesse Kirsch joins us tonight. Jesse, there's a meteor shower peaking tomorrow night. What should folks look out for?
Well, unfortunately, Tom, according to the American Meteor Society, this is not a meteor shower that is likely to have strong activity. This type of meteor shower rarely has strong activity, according to that society. But if you're hoping to see this, hoping to get the best picture you can, maybe to post online and become part of the next story about all of this stuff, NASA recommends getting away from the city, getting away from the lights, and even if you're using the camera, turn the brightness down so that your eyes can stay adjusted to the night sky. Tom.
Okay, good tip there, Jesse. We appreciate it. We're going to take a turn now. We're going to turn to the prosecution delivering closing arguments today in the trial of Sean Diddy Combs, arguing that Combs felt like his fame, his wealth, and his power put him above the law. Combs is accused of sex trafficking, racketeering, conspiracy, and transportation for prostitution. He has pleaded not guilty to all of the charges. I want to bring in NBC News entertainment correspondent Chloe Malas and Misty Maris, trial attorney and legal analyst. Both were in the courtroom in downtown Manhattan today. Chloe, the prosecution taking 5 hours for closing arguments. What did they say?
Yeah, that was more than I expected. I thought it was going to be about 4. I mean, they really hammered home each of the 5 counts that he's charged with a very laborious PowerPoint presentation. I mean, they just went point by point and really zeroed in on the racketeering, because that's the most serious charge. Misty and I were just talking about that before we came on. I mean, he faces life in prison if convicted on RICO alone. And they went through all of the predicate acts that they have to prove, and they only have to prove 2 of them. Kidnapping. They showed 3 different alleged instances. Bribery. Transporting drugs across state lines. And it really was this light bulb moment for me, I don't know about you, that like all they have to prove to jurors is that he had someone transport drugs 2 times, that's it, across state lines. And that right there is RICO.
Misty, 5 hours, though. Yeah. I mean, you really got to have the jurors' attention. You were in there. You've done this. How do you rate how the prosecutors did?
Tom, I think they did a really good job. And I'll tell you what makes a great trial lawyer. It's distilling it down to layman's terms. You're not stuck in the legalese. You're taking the elements of each charge, which are very difficult to understand. You're applying the evidence that was seen throughout the trial to those elements and telling the juror, this is why you should find Combs guilty. Now, that coupled with the visuals that they used and really simplifying what the jury needs to look at. Remember what this case was. 7 weeks, 30 plus witnesses, so many documents, financial records, text messages, emails, all of that. What does it all mean? And what prosecutors wanted to do is say, don't get distracted by all of this other stuff. Look at the elements and look at what really matters. And they focused in on that.
Chloe, you've been observing the jurors throughout this case. Were you watching them during closing arguments? Did they seem engaged?
Absolutely. So, I mean, when you're looking at those 12 jurors today and then the 5 remaining alternates, some are falling asleep. Right? Because,
falling asleep during closing arguments,
yes,
that can't be a good sign.
Yes, but then others are taking notes, right? And there are some people who are over the age of 60, others who are younger. It's a diverse jury pool. What is their attitude going to be towards consent? Are they going to believe that Jane and Cassie Ventura were forced into those freak-offs? And a big question for me is they named a lot of people as co-conspirators in this alleged criminal enterprise, but none of the co-conspirators were part of the trial. None of them testified, which I thought was a real head scratcher.
Misty, we know the defense didn't call any witnesses. What do they have to do in closings tomorrow?
So in closings tomorrow, they have to hit some of those issues, just like Chloe said to me when you're talking about RICO. They have to look at what the charges require from prosecutors. There has to be a conspiracy. I would say, where are the co-conspirators? I only see one person at that defense table. Why weren't they charged? Why didn't prosecutors put them on the stand? You never heard from them. Insufficient. And then I would also speak to that criminal enterprise element and say, well, you're talking about the Combs enterprise per the prosecutors. Well, that's just an individual person. It has to be something distinct from that. And with respect to the sex trafficking charges, you're going to see a lot of those text messages which tend to show consent. Remembering this is an intent crime. Diddy has to have intended to coerce these women into the freak-offs through force, fraud, or coercion. And when you see the messages and they say, can't wait for the FO, what the defense is going to say is, well, you know what? Even if they in their heart of hearts didn't want to do it, he wouldn't have known.
Real quick, Misty, what do you think is going to happen here? Are you thinking there may be sort of a surprise verdict?
Well, I think the Mann Act, that's transportation to engage in prostitution, has been proved by leaps and bounds by prosecutors. But when it comes to the sex trafficking, Cassie Ventura's case a bit stronger than Jane's. And RICO, to me, still falls short.
Okay, guys, can't wait to talk to you as closings happen tomorrow for the defense. We thank you for being here. In Washington tonight, President Trump is on the defensive amid questions about the effectiveness of his strikes against Iran's nuclear program. His defense secretary, Pete Hegseth, insisting the attacks were devastating as the whereabouts of Iran's enriched uranium remains uncertain. Gabe Gutierrez at the White House for us tonight.
Tonight, the Pentagon revealing new details of that secretive mission, the B-2 bomber cruise that targeted Iranian nuclear sites with 30,000-pound bunker buster bombs.
When the crews went to work on Friday, they kissed their loved ones goodbye, not knowing when or if they'd be home.
The chairman of the Joint Chiefs saying it was 15 years in the making, showing footage of the bombs being tested, saying it all went according to plan.
The weapons all guided to their intended targets.
Anyone with two eyes, some ears, and a brain can recognize that kind of firepower with that specificity at that location and others is going to have a devastating effect.
It all comes after a leaked initial assessment from the Defense Intelligence Agency suggested Iran's nuclear program was set back by just months. But the agency also saying it had low confidence in its initial findings. Well, today, the head of the UN's nuclear watchdog said the Iranian nuclear program has suffered enormous damage, and centrifuges at the Fordo site are no longer operational. The Joint Chiefs chairman revealing the B-2 pilot's own description of their nighttime mission's impact.
The pilots stated, quote, "This was the brightest explosion that I've ever seen. It literally looked like daylight."
Despite images showing trucks outside a nuclear site the day before, today the president insisted Iran did not move any uranium.
How can the president be so sure that no uranium was moved?
We were watching closely, and there was no indication to the United States that any of that enriched uranium was moved prior to the strike.
Gabe Gutierrez joining us tonight from the White House. It was a busy day there in Washington. Gabe, we're also learning about a new plan tonight to limit intelligence sharing with Congress.
Yeah, that's right, Tom. A senior White House official tells NBC News that the administration now plans to limit intelligence sharing with lawmakers after that early damage assessment leaked. Specifically, the administration plans to post less information on a system utilized to share classified material with Congress. Now, lawmakers were able to view the initial assessment in a secure location at the Capitol that's known as a SCIF. And today, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said the administration did not want classified intelligence ending up in irresponsible hands. Now, Tom, this afternoon, senators did have their classified briefing on the strikes after it had been postponed earlier in the week. Tom.
Gabe Gutierrez first. Gabe, we thank you. Tonight, Trump Mobile is backing off a signature promise of their new cell phone. The company originally claiming the phone would be, quote, made in the USA, but the phone's website now calls it an American proud design. The reference to where the phone is manufactured has been removed. It comes amid doubts the company could manufacture the phones in the United States for its current price of $499. The president today also making a major push for his so-called Big Beautiful Bill, hosting a White House event today with everyday Americans administration says will benefit from this legislation. But the package has hit a snag. The Senate parliamentarian ruling portions of the bill, including some cuts to Medicaid, are against Senate rules. It comes as a CDC advisory committee voted to effectively remove a preservative from the flu shot. The move would effectively remove only a limited number of the shots from circulation, but marks another win for the anti-vax activists. To walk us through all of this, our chief Capitol Hill correspondent, Ryan Nobles, joins us live tonight. Ryan, let's start with the budget fight there on the Hill tonight. And the parliamentarian rejecting some of these Medicaid cuts, but she's not the only one taking issue with those selections of the bill. Right now, a number of Republican senators, here they are either not a yes yet or firmly a no on this bill, many of them concerned about the impacts Medicaid cuts will have on their voters. How confident are Republican leaders that they'll be able to get this bill over the finish line before Trump's July 4th deadline? And do us a favor here, walk us through what a parliamentarian does there in the Senate.
Yeah, a parliamentarian, Tom, the best way to think of her as the referee of the Senate. She's the one that calls the balls and strikes and makes sure that the Senate is operating under the rules that they've established for themselves. And normally it takes 60 votes to pass any sort of legislation through the Senate. But there's a very special provision called reconciliation where they can reconcile the budget with only 51 votes. So it's her job to make sure that this legislation falls within the parameters of reconciliation. And she has found a number of provisions in the House-passed bill and this new version that the Senate is tweaking that don't fall under that jurisdiction. And so what Senate Republicans are doing now is they're tweaking the language. They believe that these are just technical issues that they can get through. But there are portions of the bill that are ultimately just going to be scrapped, and then they'll try and pass the bill in its current form. Right now, the sense from Senate Republican leaders that I'm talking to is that it's not a matter of if, but when. And perhaps this is going to take a little bit longer than they originally intended. They'd hoped to vote on this package, Tom, as soon as tomorrow. It's looking more now like it's going to track into the weekend and maybe even early next week. But even if that's the case, there's still a reasonable amount of confidence that once the Senate passes it, it will go right to the House and could be passed in time for the 4th of July holiday, which is, of course, their own self-imposed deadline, Tom.
Yeah, and then, Ryan, while I have you here, I do want to ask you about that CDC advisory panel vote, effectively removing a small number of flu vaccines. Walk us through what we know right now and what that could mean for other vaccines. Are they in the crosshairs?
Yeah, so this is a key ingredient called thimerosal. As you're right, it's not necessarily in a wide range of flu vaccines. Most people will still have access to the flu vaccine. It's really more about what this precedent that's been set will mean for vaccines going forward. And it really is diametrically opposed to what Robert F. Kennedy Jr. told senators when he was confirmed as the HHS secretary, that he would not get in the way of people's access to vaccines, that it was more just about educating people about what vaccines are and the process that they go through to get approved. This is actually yanking a whole section of these flu vaccines off the market. There is a concern among the health community that this could lead to a closer scrutiny of other vaccines and perhaps would make vaccines much more difficult to get along a wide spectrum of vaccines in the future, Tom.
Ryan Nobles for us tonight. Ryan, a lot of reporting there. We appreciate that. Ahead on top story, the beach umbrella warning. The new image is just out of the lifeguard that was impaled by a wayward beach umbrella on the Jersey Shore. What your family needs to know to stay safe. The Bezos wedding bash. Celebrities descending on Venice for the wedding of the decade. Everyone from Trump family members to the Kardashians. How the city is preparing and managing some backlash. And the end of an era at Vogue. Legendary editor-in-chief Anna Wintour stepping down. What's next for her and the empire she built? making major news tonight. Vogue editor-in-chief Anna Wintour, who told staff today she will be taking a step back from her leadership role at American Vogue after nearly 40 years at the helm. Wintour will stay on in her other capacities as Condé Nast's global chief content officer and global editorial director at Vogue. Joining us to talk about Anna's legacy is journalist Amy Odell, author of the New York Times bestselling biography Anna and the new book Gwyneth, coming out later this summer. You can also follow her on Substack Back Row. Very cool. So, Amy, I'm going to ask you, what does this mean?
This is a historic day for fashion and for media. Anna Wintour has been the editor-in-chief of American Vogue since 1988. That's 37 years. And in that tenure has been the most powerful person in the fashion industry. So it's a really big deal, even though she is staying on at Condé Nast in her capacity as global editorial director for all international editions of Vogue and chief content officer for Condé Nast.
We rolled The Devil Wears Prada. Is that a sort of a fair caricature of her?
It's a very fair caricature of her, I have to say. The one difference that I will know, the primary difference that I see between that, portrayal of her and how I was told by the many people I interviewed that she actually behaves in the office, she doesn't have bad manners. Manners are very, very important to Anna Wintour, and we see this even in the way that she regards guests who come to the Met Gala. She expects them to be there, engaging in conversation, not looking at their phones. So manners are very important to her. She wouldn't come in and throw her
But she's very direct.
on the desk. She's very direct.
How would you explain to somebody, like, say, me, who doesn't understand maybe fashion like you do, what was her impact? Like, what things did she do, or did she see, or did she sort of forecast, if you will, in the fashion industry that made her such a powerhouse?
Yeah, I think that Anna Wintour's influence really spans so many different industries. Fashion, yes, but also politics, technology, sports. Serena Williams told me when I was reporting the book that when she was struggling with tennis, she called Anna.
Wow.
And asked for advice, and then went on to win a Grand Slam.
What's the story with the sunglasses?
She actually has very bad eyesight in their prescription, and she misplaces them all the time, and her friends have her glasses all over their houses.
But it's a look, too.
It's absolutely a look. Same with her hair, which she hasn't changed since the 1960s.
Since the 60s, she's had that cut.
She got the bob. Well, it is an iconic bob from Swinging London. Because you know your fashion history, I'm sure you know that.
Yes.
So she got it done then, and she hasn't really changed it.
So, sometimes we see these very powerful media moguls, and they say, we're stepping down or I'm retiring, but they don't really step down. They don't really retire. They're still very involved. What do you think happens here?
I think it's very notable that she is in a position where she's picking her successor for American Vogue. She's going to still be at Condé Nast, overseeing that person and influencing what they do with the magazine. So if she does leave her job entirely at Condé Nast at some point, she will have set Vogue up the way that she would like for it to be after she does take that step.
And then what do you think about the person who's taking over?
We don't know who that person is.
Unknown.
My educated guess would be that it will be someone in the Vogue family. So someone in another job at Vogue right now. I'm hearing early rumblings of names being bandied about right now. But I would be very surprised, just based on the history of successions at Vogue, if it was a total outsider.
Okay. Amy, we thank you so much for being here. Top stories moment of the day, and this one is a special Today Show co-anchor Al Roker being honored with a Lifetime Achievement Award last night at the 2025 News and Documentary Emmy Awards. Al, who's been a part of the Today Show since 1996, accepted the award, thanking the person who has supported him the most. Take a look.
And I have been blessed to be married to someone who makes me a better journalist, a dad, a person. She is an Emmy winner, a Peabody and Pulitzer Prize winner, Deborah Roberts, the co-anchor of ABC News 2020. Actually, earlier she pointed out to me they don't always save the best for last because she was already given her award. And so while I am thankful for an Emmy, I'm even happier that I have a Debbie.
Al Roker always reminding to us why he is the man. He was presented this honor by former Today host Brian Gumbel. We congratulate Al on the well-deserved accomplishment. He is an incredible broadcaster, an incredible dude. Stay with us. We are back in just a moment. We're back now with a very serious situation developing out of Gaza, a growing number of people being killed while going to distribution points to get desperately needed aid. Doctors are calling the sites, quote, death traps. Richard Engel has the latest, and we want to warn you, these images are graphic.
At the NIC unit in Nasser Hospital in Gaza, Aya is just 4 days old, born premature, suffering liver failure, and totally reliant on formula, which is in short supply.
We're relying on the supplies that we have, extremely limited. They're rationing every day.
Doctors here, including several visiting American volunteers, say Gazans are starving because Israel, which controls all access to Gaza, only lets in a trickle of food, and that getting to it can be deadly.
It's a common term. It's a death trap. It's a slaughterhouse.
The doctors here say almost every day they treat dozens of Gazans wounded while trying to reach aid distribution sites run by an Israeli and American-backed group called the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, set up to replace the UN and ensure that aid is not stolen by Hamas. But human rights groups say the new system has a fatal flaw. As desperate Gazans rush for supplies, many have been shot at by Israeli troops. 410 killed this month, according to the UN. Doctors here say 14-year-old Fahad was killed while trying to collect food. The boy was brought back to Nasser Hospital along with the empty bag he'd hoped to fill and take back to his family. And while our team was filming, this boy was brought in. His name is Jihad. His family says he was shot by Israeli forces while collecting water.
Can you ask him to lift his leg? Okay, so left leg weakness and decreased sensation. Probably has some spinal cord injury. So we're suspecting a spinal cord injury.
The doctors say he has a bullet by his spine. They worry he may never walk again. The Israeli military says it does not fire on civilians at those aid sites, but has acknowledged that soldiers have targeted individuals who approach them, appear threatening, or are in unauthorized areas. Tom?
And our thanks to Richard and our teams in Gaza for that report. Time now for Top Stories Newsfeed. We start with the Supreme Court ruling back here at home for South Carolina, bolstering its call to defund Planned Parenthood. The court saying Medicaid patients can't sue for their right to pick a medical provider. The ruling enforcing the state's abilities to keep Planned Parenthood from gaining funding through Medicaid. The vote was 6-3, with the court's 3 liberal members in dissent. The unemployment rate for young college grads now outpaces the overall U.S. jobless rate, according to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. And for the first time in a dozen years, not including the coronavirus pandemic, the unemployment rate for individuals with degrees ages 22 to 27 is at its highest level. AP reporting that the rise concerns economists and Federal Reserve officials, noting it could allude to economic troubles. And 2 law enforcement sources familiar with the situation telling NBC News the Los Angeles police are investigating a reported burglary at Brad Pitt's L.A. home. Those sources saying Pitt was not home, and LAPD spokesperson confirming a break-in occurred Wednesday night. The sources saying police are on the lookout for 3 suspects who allegedly climbed over a fence and broke through a front window. This comes following a string of burglaries in high-end Southern California neighborhoods in recent years. And a close call for a couple of tourists as boulders plunged off a cliff near a popular swimming hole in Utah. Watch the calm moments as swimmers go underwater at Lower Calf Creek Falls before the rocks come tumbling down. While no one was harmed, land management officials say visitors should be on alert for more falling rocks. And the frightening moment a utility worker in Louisiana was struck by an 18-wheeler, and it was all caught on tape. Dashcam video shows the moment the truck turned, smashing into the worker, shattering the bucket as he was standing in. Thankfully, he was wearing his safety equipment, which likely saved his life. According to Denham Springs police, the man received minor injuries and was not hospitalized. This happening near Baton Rouge. Okay, we want to turn now to our series, The Cost of Denial, with an update on the victims of those catastrophic wildfires in Southern California. Homeowners who suffered severe damages to their property left in limbo after they say the insurance adjusters who make reimbursement assessments keep changing. NBC's Liz Kreutz has more on the investigation into why that's happening.
It's a house frozen in time. Gingerbread houses left on the kitchen table, a calendar still set to January.
Makes me sad.
Stephanie Newport's Altadena home hasn't changed since January 7th, the day she evacuated from the Eaton fire, which you can see here burning through part of the house, causing significant smoke damage, leaving her stuck in what she describes as an insurance nightmare.
Sorry, I
I mean, my community is pretty much gone. I am very grateful that the house is still there. However, from an insurance standpoint, I think it would have been easier if it had burned.
Newport's living room covered in layers of toxic ash and debris.
We've been to a lot of smoke damaged homes since the fires. This is without a doubt the worst that we've seen.
The swimming pool, black. Newport, who is covered by State Farm, says her biggest challenge, her adjuster, the person responsible for managing her claim, keeps changing. In 5 months, she's been assigned not 1, not 2, but
7 adjusters.
7 adjusters, yeah.
What is it like to get passed around like this?
It's extremely frustrating. It's like starting over every single time.
NBC News also spoke to 5 other State Farm policyholders impacted by the LA fires who describe a similar pattern. Just this month, California's Department of Insurance announced an investigation into State Farm's handling of fire-related claims. The commissioner citing specifically the frequent reassignment of multiple adjusters with little continuity in communication.
You think they're intentionally trying to stall?
It feels that way.
Newport says once an adjuster is taken off her claim, they completely disappear.
Okay, so I'm going to try and call Stephanie's last adjuster to see if we can find out why he was taken off. It seems like this is a defunct extension now. We're just getting kind of put in circles through automated voice message systems, not really able to get in touch with this guy.
State Farm declined to comment directly on Newport's case, citing customer privacy, but said in a statement to NBC News it has paid out more than $4.15 billion in response to the LA fires, and that when there are catastrophes of this size, it may mean that multiple team members assist with a customer's claim. In response to the state's investigation, the insurer says it is cooperating and that a review will find thousands of customers are very satisfied.
Everything has felt like a fight.
So far, Newport says State Farm has sent her about $140,000 to fix her home, but an outside adjuster she hired to help with her claim says it would cost more than 10 times that, based in part on testing that recommended the home be taken down to the studs. Of the 7 adjusters, she feels only 1 has given her the whole truth.
One of them had said, don't let them tell you no, just keep pushing because they're hoping you're going to give up. But I'm not giving up.
All right, Liz Quince joins us now in the studio. So, Liz, tell our viewers what happened when you started asking questions.
Yeah, so Stephanie says she hadn't heard from State Farm in more than 3 weeks. But then just this week, days after NBC News reached out to ask about her claim, she says she was contacted by the insurer and they're now offering to pay her an additional $54,000 to fix her pool and also to conduct that critical testing of her home, which is something she had been asking for months, Tom.
All right, Liz Croyce getting results. We appreciate that. There's an urgent warning for beachgoers this summer. A lifeguard in New Jersey was hospitalized after being impaled by a beach umbrella. NBC's Julie Sirkin has this look at the new safety standard that could keep your umbrella safely tied down.
A picturesque day on the Jersey Shore. Beachgoers taking cover from the hot summer sun, all shattered in a moment.
361, the umbrella's moving in the left armpit.
After a 19-year-old lifeguard in Asbury Park was stabbed by her own beach umbrella.
She said, I got impaled by the umbrella.
First responders rushing to the scene, power tools in hand.
We need that bandsaw for sure down here.
They cut the umbrella on both ends so they could remove that part of it. It was pretty ugly, but like I said, I think she's going to be fine from it.
It's a story all too familiar for Ed Quigley.
An umbrella is a javelin with a sail attached.
Ed nearly died after being struck in the eye by a rogue beach umbrella in 2015.
In brain surgery, I died on the operating table. Took them 23 minutes and 7 cycles with those shock paddles to bring me back.
Since that day, he's made it his mission to improve beach umbrella safety.
Everyone's just shocked that this is a thing that happens so regularly.
I think the first question to ask is, did you ever see an umbrella blowing down the beach?
Everyone has.
Well, if everyone's seen it, then everyone's been in a potential danger situation.
Now, Ed's installing these warning signs at beaches up and down the East Coast, like here in Wildwood, New Jersey, pointing beachgoers to a new voluntary safety standard for beach umbrellas from the Consumer Product Safety Commission.
So over 2 years, they tested beach umbrellas on beaches and in wind tunnels and developed the scientific data to say this is what you need to keep an umbrella secure. And basically what it is an anchor device that provides 75 pounds of resistance to lift, which is what the wind does.
We asked the expert, Ed, to show us how to set one up with an anchor.
This is actually the anchor. The umbrella goes through the center
It's a little more involved than what you might be used to.
So then you attach two sides of this triangle. Grab your little shovel. We want to take this other loop up here, and then we just finish it off a little bit on the sides. Put your umbrella on it as normal and open your umbrella.
The result? Shade. That's much safer.
Now, if anybody tries to lift this umbrella, it's about 120 pounds. So it's not going anywhere.
Compare that to an umbrella without an anchor.
Now, how difficult is it to pull this umbrella out without the anchor? Nothing at all.
Ed says at beaches he's been to this summer, these types of anchors are not common yet.
I look forward to maybe another 10 years, I don't know if I last that long, looking out and just seeing every umbrella with an anchor device on it.
He's hoping to get the word out so that injuries like his never happen again. Julie Sirkin, NBC News, Wildwood, New Jersey.
We're back now with Top Stories Global Watch. We start in Ecuador, where authorities have recaptured a notorious drug lord 1 year after he escaped from prison. Video shows officers capturing Jose Adolfo Macias, also known as Fito, in an underground bunker where he'd been hiding beneath a luxury home. The 45-year-old is the top leader of Ecuador's Los Coneros gang, which violently dominates the country's cocaine trade alongside Mexico's Sinaloa cartel. Macias will be extradited to the U.S. to face drug trafficking and firearms smuggling charges. And today, officials across Myanmar destroying nearly $300 million worth of illegal drugs. Take a look at this. The video shows the drugs going up in flames, and it comes 1 month after UN experts warned the region was producing and trafficking unprecedented levels of methamphetamines. The massive piles of destroyed drugs include opium, ketamine, heroin, and marijuana. And a stunt climber known around the globe as the French Spider-Man spotted in the skies of Barcelona. Alain Robert, illegally scaling a nearly 400-foot skyscraper with no ropes, harness, or safety equipment. The 62-year-old, yes, he's 62, made waves for his stunts last climbing the same skyscraper in 2023 in a bid to raise awareness for climate change and drought. In a nod to the times, though, he says this stunt is meant to highlight the launch of his crypto coin. Staying overseas in Europe, celebrities are descending on Venice as wedding festivities officially kick off for billionaire Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez. NBC's Molly Hunter checked out the venues where the events are taking place and spoke to the city to learn more about how it's getting ready.
Tonight, Amazon billionaire Jeff Bezos and his bride-to-be Lauren Sanchez stepping into a water taxi on the Grand Canal. Hi, Lauren! Kicking off the first night of their 3-night wedding extravaganza, lapping up the attention after weeks of speculation and rumors about the venues and guest list. But tonight, all smiles, even answering a shouted question from a speedboat full of photographers. An impossible floating city that's been bracing for the arrival of around 200 of Bezos and Sanchez's closest friends. Spotted today, Bill Gates, the Kardashians, Leonardo DiCaprio, Tom Brady, even Usher has arrived in the Lagoon City, along with Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner. And the Wall Street Journal reporting President Trump was also invited to the Venetian Bash, but not attending due to scheduling conflicts. Dressed to the nines, pals Oprah Winfrey and Gayle King piling into their own water taxi tonight with Orlando Bloom. Tonight's welcome party takes place at the cloisters behind the Madonna dell'Orto. We stopped by earlier today. Preparations were underway, security already in place.
So why is this, though, good for a party?
Because you're out of the way, you're quiet, it's very private, intimate, and from my point of view, is one of the best parts of the city, actually.
Is the city ready for this?
Yeah, of course. We are used to manage very important events, even more complicated than this wedding. So the Pope visit with thousands of people going around the city, G20, G7, a lot of different weddings, even more with more people involved than this wedding.
In recent weeks, there have been small but rowdy protests, but the deputy mayor sees them as opportunists.
I think they saw a lot of telecameras, a lot of paparazzi, and a lot of visibility and attention from the worldwide network. And they say, okay, let's exploit this attention.
The main organizers, No Space for Bezos, hanging a banner on the famous Rialto Bridge, unfurling a sign in St. Mark's Square. If you can rent Venice for your wedding, it read, you can pay more tax. Today, flying a banner off a flagpole, the 1% ruins the world, and floating an inflatable Jeff Bezos in an Amazon box down a canal. But most Venetians we met, not all that bothered, meeting this mother and daughter in the residential neighborhood near the Arsenale.
Personalmente mi fa molto piacere. She's very happy. She's happy also because Jeff Bezos donate like 2 million here, and so Venice can do a lot of work.
And in the face of backlash, Bezos and Sanchez hoping their hefty investment this weekend gives back to a city they love so much.
Tom, and it is a hefty investment outside the hotels and the venues and, of course, all the local vendors. That donation that woman was talking about, well, it is now 3 million euros to 3 local institutions. One, a research organization that looks into the ecosystem of the lagoon. The second, UNESCO's local office, and the Venice International University. As far as those protests are concerned, we haven't heard about any interruption to tonight's event. It is just starting to rain and thunderstorm. I hope they are underneath some rain cover. But the next real action day for No Space for Bezos is scheduled for Saturday. Tom?
Hey, thanks so much for watching Top Story. That does it for us tonight. I'm Tom Llamas in New York. Stay right there. More news on the way. We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.